I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First on the agenda, we have the approval of the regular agenda. Entertaining motions.
I would so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving the regular agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And next up, the approval of the consent agenda. Entertaining motions on that.
I'll move as well.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Staff agenda items. We're first up is Brad Riefsteck, and Brad is going to talk to us about consideration of Resolution 2019-12, which is, let me explain it just very quickly. I'm sure Brad's going to do it, but I want to put it in my words for a second. Declaring the adequacy of petition and ordering preparation of report. At this point, we have neighborhoods that have prepared petitions in order to study the ordering of an actual road project. That is what this does not do, is order any road projects. It simply prompts us to prepare studies for the study of the road projects. With that said, Brad, I'm going to turn to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, tonight before you, you have a resolution declaring the adequacy of a petition and ordering a preparation of a feasibility report. As you know, several petitions were received from several property owners requesting a feasibility study be completed for roadway improvements along the following streets. We have Gennaro Court North, Justin Trail North from Delwood to Joliet, Grenleff Avenue North, the Woodland Acres area, which included Jody Avenue and Jody Avenue Court, 103rd Street and 103rd Street Court, Juneau Avenue North, part of Joliet North from 101st Street North to the end of the pavement, 101st Street North, and then Kelman Court, which is mistakenly identified on the map as Highview Road North. And we will definitely get that fixed before assessment. So, and then the other street here was Joliet North, south of 101st Street down to Delwood Road. So the signed petitions account for 81 of the 152 residents of the area, and that accounts for 53% of the property owners within the project limits, which exceeds the 35% needed for the city to authorize the city engineer to prepare a feasibility report, which is the first step in the procedures per the city's current assessment policy. So with that said, I guess I would entertain any questions from council.
Gentlemen? No questions. Very good. Mr. Riefsteck is looking for a first and a second on the consideration of Resolution 2019-12. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve. I would second.
All right. All those in favor of approving 2019-12, ordering a study of the proposed streets as named by Mr. Riefsteck, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Very good. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
And moving on, let's go right to, I believe, Kim Points. We have a consideration of the contract extension, KEJ Road Contractor. Kim, can you tell us what's going on here, please?
Mayor and council members, I certainly can. We put it under engineering due to the roads, but basically we are looking to extend the road contractor contract for 1 full year. There will be more discussion for this during the budget process, but it does end at the end of May. So the contract before you is the exact same with the dates changed.
Okay, very good. And again, I did take a very quick look through this, gentlemen. Our 30-day termination notice is in here. The important stuff that we have questioned before, the insurance, both general liability and other insurance is still required. Looks exactly the same to me. Any questions on this extension, gentlemen?
Not by me. I would move to approve.
Move to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving a 1-year extension for our independent contractor, KEJ Enterprises, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. Up next, City Planner Jennifer Haskamp, and if I can just kind of tee this up for you a little bit, Jennifer, looks like you're asking us to submit our draft 2040 comprehensive plan to the other neighboring cities around us. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I thought I would highlight just essentially what we're here for tonight, and to kind of lay out what the next steps are. I'm not going to go through the draft plan itself. We did that at the work session a couple weeks ago. Since that joint work session was held with the Planning Commission, there were several edits that were made to the document that were mostly grammatical, cleanup, word changes. Several of them addressed some comments that were received from Councilmember Carr, and those were incorporated as well. There were a couple of minor edits that we talked about at that joint work session with respect to some notations to certain properties in particular, like the Matamidi School campus, for example. Those have been cleaned up so that when we go out for the adjacent and affected jurisdictional review period, that stuff has been cleaned up. So the link that we provided to you has an updated version, which I would say is probably 85 to 90% clean at this point. Obviously, there's a lot of text there and a lot of copy there. So from that perspective, we'll continue to catch things as we do. We will update that electronic link. We will not create a new hard copy of the document for you until we basically get through the full approval process. Once you've adopted it, then we'll make sure that everybody gets a hard copy. But obviously, there's a lot of ink, a lot of color that needs to be in those documents. So from here on out, as we create those additional drafts, we'll be sending out electronic links. With respect to the affected and adjacent jurisdictional review period, that 6-month process is what we're requesting your authorization to submit for tonight. We will be sending them to, we will essentially send a notice to all of the adjacent jurisdictions that the document is available and ready to review. They will also receive electronic versions. They will not get hard copies. And it also includes affected jurisdictions, including agencies like the DNR, for example. The school districts all get notified of the copy being available. There's a list of about 15 to 20 different agencies that have the opportunity to take a look at it. So it's not just your bordering cities, but there are other agencies that take a look at it. So part of this process is that we are required to go through that 6-month review process. If we happen to get responses back from everybody that's on the required list earlier than the 6 months, we can actually start the process and kick it back off again. So we don't have to wait the full 6-month process, but if we don't hear from folks, we do have to wait the full 6 months before we can kind of get it back going again. So I will note, I was thinking on my drive over here, I do believe if you take a look at the document online today, there is one piece that I think I overlooked that does need to be corrected, and I believe that is the trail along CASA 12. I think I put it into the legend and then didn't draw it on the map, so if you take a look at it, it's not there quite yet. I will get that corrected before we send it out for the affected and adjacent jurisdictional review. As I drove on 12, I'm like, I'm not sure I drew that. So I will make sure to take care of that as well. So once we get through that 6-month review process, hopefully it goes faster than that, which would be very nice. We will get comments back. Then we have to actually incorporate the changes as requested by adjacent jurisdictions if they are applicable to essentially the 4 regional systems. So we have to talk about how we would address those or incorporate the changes into the document. If over the next 6 months there is something else that comes up that needs to be corrected or changed or modified or added, we can do that without tripping a new review process, provided that the changes do not affect those 4 regional systems that the Met Council cares about. So from that perspective, that's sort of the threshold as to whether or not we have to kick off a new 6-month review process or not. But minor grammatical changes, things like that, do not trip it, and we are free to do that as we go through this next review period. Once that period closes, we are required to hold a public hearing on the document. So once we incorporate the changes that we need to, whether there's changes from this body or the Planning Commission that need to be made, we complete a full copy or a full draft of it, if you will. Goes to the public hearing. Public has the opportunity to provide their formal comments as well. The document will be available from the city's website, so if folks want to take a look at it from the city, from a resident perspective and provide any comments, they can certainly submit those electronically to us over the next 6 months. But we will have the public hearing. If we need to address or incorporate any of their changes, those get added into it. Then a full draft hopefully is recommended to you from the Planning Commission, and then you take formal action on it. When you do that, that formal action, once we get through this whole process, is actually not the formal final action, because then you have to send it to the Metropolitan Council. They get to bless it. Once they bless it, then it can become enacted and policy. So that's a little bit of where we're headed. We've got a ways to go still, but we're sort of in a holding pattern at the moment until we get it into that affected and adjacent jurisdictional review period. So with that, that's kind of an overview of the schedule, where we're going, what we're asking for tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Gentlemen, questions for Jennifer?
Not me.
Just one for me then, Jennifer. Other cities, or other jurisdictions, to be more clear, when we send this out for their review, their process then is they can actually comment about it. They can't force changes to this document. We are the only ones, us and most likely the Met Council, are the only ones who can actually physically change the documents. The other cities and jurisdictions are just going to comment upon it. Is that correct?
That is correct. But if we reflect something that's inaccurate, for example, that is connected to one of their systems, for example, that's something that they could say, that's ours, you need to change that type of thing. That could happen. I've seen that happen mostly with like roadways, for example, or intersections that they know are going to be improved, or things like that.
Paths on CSAT 12, that kind of thing.
Yep, that type of stuff.
That type of thing. Okay.
So those types of things, they can kind of, and then when we actually formally submit to the Metropolitan Council, we actually have to itemize how we responded, or if we didn't. If we choose not to respond to it, we have to tell them we did not, or yes, we did, and here's where it is.
Okay, so they do have a little bit of say, and we do have to respond to that in front of the Met Council. But that's interesting. I think it's good for the residents to know kind of how that process works. Jennifer is looking for us to go ahead and authorize to submit the draft 2040 comprehensive plan for a 6-month review period to our neighboring jurisdictions. Since there are no questions, I'll entertain motions on this.
I'll move.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor of submitting this to a 6-month review period, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Jennifer, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to our city attorney, while in attendance, it doesn't look like Mr. Schneider has any action items for us tonight, so we'll move on to new business. Consideration of resolution 2019-11, the abatement of parcel number, and I won't read that out. It is there if anyone wants to see it. Kim Points, I'm going to ask you to take this up for us real quick.
Mayor and council members, back in November, when the assessments are due to the county for the property tax statements, a mistake was made with this particular parcel. They should have not been assessed. They prepaid. So this process, which I was not aware of, the abatement process goes before the council for approval. That assessment will be taken off their property tax statement, and a new tax statement will be issued.
Excellent. So just a small mistake there. We're going to go ahead and clear that up tonight, and we're looking at resolution number 2019-11, no harm, no foul. So entertaining motions on this abatement, please.
I would move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second on the abatement. All is in favor of 2019-11 abatement of the mentioned parcel ID, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed to this abatement. Thank you very much. Under new business B, consideration of Cable Commission extension. Gentlemen have all seen this one before. The Cable Commission continues their long-running negotiation with the Comcast company regarding its franchising within our city and other member cities within the franchise agreement. What this does here, as you've probably all heard me say before, is keeps the franchise agreement and the contract the same as it's been until these negotiations come to a head and we're ready to present the actual new Comcast franchise agreement. So would look for, unless there are questions, I would look for a motion to just extend that agreement that's been in place for years until the end of those negotiations. So we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to extend that Cable Commission agreement, please. Do I have a
Also-
first? Thank
Also
you.
moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All those in favor of extending that cable commission contract, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you very much. Doesn't look like we have any unfinished business. Under discussion items, staff updates. Kim, Jennifer, or Brad, any staff updates for us this evening? Nothing going on? Okay. Mr. Schneider, anything you'd like to talk to us about?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Okay, very good. Then I will ask the council if they have any reports for us, anything that you found that may impact the city or future agenda items that you would like to discuss. I'll start down by John.
I have not.
Nothing, John? Jeff?
Ditto.
Okay. Denny?
No, sir, not me.
And Mr. Carr, anything for us?
No, thank you.
Very good. Mr. Carr, I'd like you to ask you to read our community calendar for us. Pardon me.
Perhaps somebody might want to mention the cleanup day?
Oh, you know what? I went right over that, didn't I? I was so concerned with getting everyone else in. I want to call out and recognize a couple of people. The cleanup day, the annual cleanup day was held Saturday here at Town Hall, and it was a fantastic success. You'll see some pictures of that coming up. There were lines out both sides of the street, about 15 cars long. We went through, I think, 4 20 or 30-yard dumpsters and 2 garbage trucks. And that was supplied by Maroney's, our local hauler. And if you see those guys or you do business with them, it'd be nice if you went ahead and clapped them on the back and told them good job, because they worked hard. The other people who worked very, very hard, sitting next to me, Mr. Giefer loaded about 2 dumpsters himself. Mr. Kopp loaded the other one himself. 2 of our planning commissioners were here, Mr. Tufty and Mr. Jeff Schaefer. And these 2 guys both cleaned up the grounds around Town Hall, as well as loaded up dumpsters for our residents. Ms. Points, our clerk was here, and she was handing out information on our water plan, our MS4 water plan. Talked about that along with Washington County Conservation District, who was here talking to residents about that. And I loaded a couple of dumpsters and cooked a lot of hot dogs.
He did.
A lot of hot dogs. Ran out of hot dogs. So if you were here early, you got a hot dog. If you weren't, you didn't get a hot dog. So, but they were wonderful hot dogs. We had a great time. We cleaned up the city. We got our MS4 done. We had some good conversations on that, and all in all, it was great. I've done several of these, and I've never seen so many Grant residents here, and they were just happy to be here. And it was a great opportunity to meet people I had never met before. And yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. So, yeah. Danny, what did you
It
think?
was very good.
Yeah.
Very good. A lot of people.
Lots of
Oh,
people.
a lot of trash that day.
My back still hurts. Jeff,
I
anything?
saw a lot of interesting things being thrown away.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things. I saw like a 12-point buck being thrown in the garbage. I mean, it was beautiful. It was huge. Well, it was green. It had been on a pole barn for a while. But okay, that's the end of that story. So that was our cleanup day. I hope to see you all there next year. Really appreciate the people that showed up, the staff, the planning commissioners, and the council that showed up to make it a big success. So, Kim, thank you so much for telling me to do that, because I'd forgotten all about it. Can we get to our community calendar? I'm going to run back to you and make sure that was it.
No, that's it.
That's it. Mr. Carr, would you like to read our calendar for us?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I seem to have put my agenda away, and I think doesn't Jeff like to read those? I thought he was taking over the mantle.
There you
Take
go.
over the mantle, I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, last time I did let John read it, but I.
Well, either one of you, I'm not hurt.
So you okay, John? if I read it?
Absolutely.
All right, Matamidi Public Schools Board meeting Thursday, May 9th and May 23rd. Matamidi District Education Center, 7 p.m. Stillwater Public Schools Board meeting Thursday, May 9th, Stillwater City Hall at 7 p.m. Washington County Commissioners meeting Tuesdays, Government Center, 9 a.m. City offices closed on Monday, May 27th for Memorial Day holiday.
Thank you so much, and this is exactly how meetings should run when there are no complex issues. So I thank you, gentlemen, for allowing us to run a meeting like that. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Would we like to adjourn, gentlemen?
Motion to adjourn.
Yes, thank you. Can I get a second? Thank you. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. I thought